It is the Fantasy Rugby Yanks. My name is Jared Dyke. I wanted to say it's stupid and let's move on, but then you kept going.
I'm Ben Glauser. I don't like the way anybody handled that.
A collusion. Hey, everybody. It is the Fantasy Rugby Yanks. My name is Jared Dyke.
I'm Ben Glauser.
Let's go. Let's go. We are on the eve of our departure, and I don't know if I can sleep tonight, but I probably should because I'm definitely not sleeping tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'm like trying to figure out if I want to take like a like a melatonin or something like that with me and pop that before we get on and just zonk. But then I'm worried about being wobbly when we get there. And so I'm like, all right, it's not that long a flight.
I cannot hold you up anymore. All right.
Yeah.
I did it when I was playing. I can't, or when you were playing. I can't do it no more. All right.
Mostly when we were drinking more than playing, but yes.
Yeah, that happened too. Speaking of drinking.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Pop them while we got them.
I can have one tonight.
Yeah.
No potting like normal people.
Find us on your favorite podcast. Share us on your favorite podcast app. Download, rate, review. That is a nice color. And I really like this. I'm just saying it's out of stock now. It was, I mean, it's a Pride beer, so
right.
Of course.
Yeah, I remember those. Yeah.
Cold brew coffee cream ale. It does not look what you think it is. It is very light and it tastes delicious.
That's cool. I was too worried about the whole coffee thing. I was like, it's not really what I want in a beer. I have had, obviously beer like that, but that's the only thing that's the only thing that made me pause in buying it.
That's that brewery around the corner.
Mm-hmm. We like that.
Love that. Gimme. Okay. There's that. Obviously, we encourage you all to buy our good friend, the Fantasy Rugby Geek George, a coffee and or a beer, however you wish to term it. Man's busy. We know this. Right. And if you're anywhere near the front of your FRD after 3 weeks, he's probably one of the reasons.
Duncan.
So make sure you tip that. Yeah, we'll talk about Duncan on the fantasy pod because he's actually doing really well.
Yeah.
Bastard. As always, there is no discrimination here on this podcast. There's no discrimination, or should be no discrimination in sports or in life. So Ben and I were just discussing the statement put out by the kit maker of the Denmark football team for the Qatar World Cup. We don't wish to be visible during a tournament that has cost thousands of people their lives. We support the Danish national team all the way, but that is the same as supporting Qatar as a host nation. And we talked about all the human rights issues that this country has, and they got this via corruption that was eventually found out, which is, and the fact that they didn't pull a 180 and they still had time to do it tells me there's still a lot of corruption going on.
Can't believe how corrupt those people are. Yeah, we'll still take your money.
Right.
We'll still do all those things. Don't worry about it.
Just awful. So kudos to Denmark, and they are slick looking kits on top of it all.
Nice. Yeah.
So I kudos to them, and those of you that are listening to this will obviously be hoping Christian Eriksen makes it to this team. Eriksen had a really unfortunate summer a couple years ago playing for Denmark. Yeah, real scary stuff in Euro 2020. That was that was really terrifying stuff. So hopefully he's back this summer and we don't have to see anything similar to that, because that would just plain suck.
Yeah,
just plain suck. So obviously we have to talk about the elephant in the corner over there. It's Worcester, and they've been suspended. They've gone into administration, and the process has begun. It was, we all knew it was coming, but it still was like, it happened.
Yeah.
And because you just still held out a hope that some Hail Mary miracle was going to hit, and nope. And you just feel for everyone. And yeah, I'm at a loss.
I don't get what the owners were thinking. I mean, I get that, like, you want to still be involved in but I mean, come on. like the writing's on the wall. You're out. You fucked it up.
Mhm.
You don't get to rewarded when you fuck things up, right? What are we, a fucking socialist society here? You get rewarded for failure? No, we're capitalism. We like do good shit. And the point, unfortunately, they're like the bad kind of capitalism, which, well, yeah, it's capitalism, but either way, they're like, we want to still make our nut. It's like, you, first off, who's going to do business with them ever again after this? Why would you work with them? I would not work with these people. They're untrustworthy. They'll go back on what they say. They'll set deadlines and then bypass them. Like, I really hope somehow they can get away and just get nothing. Like, you fucking lose, get the fuck out. Like,
Absolutely.
Like, I don't know how that would work.
Neither do I know.
It's just not, it's not right. And it's like, yeah, why would you think people would want you to stay?
No way. And the whole thing will come out where we find, the forensic, financials will come out, and we'll know the truth, and that's how it is. And in honesty, though, I think we all need to just rewind and kind of look back at PRL and RFU, and once the Saracens thing happened, why the books weren't opened back up for everyone,
right,
still makes me scratch my head a little bit. So I definitely want you have to put some of the blame at their feet, undoubtedly, because they could have easily done this. Yeah, or at least,
especially because we could be having the same conversation about Wasps. I mean, it won't be exactly the same. It won't, because they're actually trying to do things the right way. I get it. But Wasps are not in a good spot, and there's allegedly 2 other teams that are not. So
yeah, we need to.
Like, what are you doing? Yeah,
have a look at the books
and the worst part,
screwing up.
The worst part to me of all this is that if there are Worcester players who want out, they actually cannot leave yet, because they're not employed by Worcester. They're employed by like a contracting company, and that company's not in.
Technically, no.
That company is apparently fine, and it's
right.
like, okay, well, but who owns that? It's probably the same.
It's probably these fuckers.
But
like, that.
Yeah, that's fucked up. Like, it's almost like they, yeah, they're really screwing the pooch all over the place.
Right. So with that, though, the latest, so we talk about trying. I'm a realist, but man, I'm trying to stay optimistic on this one.
Right.
The optimism right now is from the potential new buyers, which we won't hear a whole lot from until things finally are settled down, and the person that was assigned as the administrator, or at least that's leading it, and both are very much in the mindset that they want to get this team back on the field ASAP. And when they say ASAP, they're not talking about 6 weeks, 8 weeks. They want to do it, maybe the Quins game, which is probably not realistic, but after the bye. They're really optimistic, and like, we want to get back on the field then. Now, for the situation that we're currently in, that is a really good outcome. Did we want to be there to begin with? Hell no, of course not. We're here now, so let's look at the best outcome from here forward, and that's it right there. I believe if they get things in line and are able to play that Quins game, wow, all I can say. But there's been statements saying these potential buyers do have the money and are willing to put in the money required to get them out of this bullshit, which is great. So fingers crossed that things can go. I think the article said warp speed.
Yeah. Cool.
Fingers crossed that they can go warp speed, and we can talk about, Duhan Venemerva and Gareth Simpson and Joe Batley in the ways we want to talk about them, which is them running around on the pitch. Right. So fingers crossed.
And for Worcester and in the Prem. And
yes.
Although,
in general. And then the women's team obviously as well. But also
it's not on the it's not on the agenda here, but I do want to put in a quick word about Sam Simmons leaving for Montpellier.
Yes. Ouch.
That is news that can only get crowded out by a club,
by something like this, right?
Right.
Because that is huge. That is big news.
That's huge. Like, we've seen what happened with Zach Mercer, right? You can't just let these guys walk out of the country. And I know Eddie's not big on Sam, and maybe he didn't show so well in his play there, because he is more in the attacking end, and Eddie likes, defense first and last.
And only.
And but it's like he's still a guy, the same thing could be said for Mercer, but that's a guy that England needs right now. It's yeah, it's to me, it's not good for England, but at the same time, it's really not good for Exeter. So I'm gonna be happy about
it. We'll talk about the game itself, but barring this past weekend, we don't know what their answer would be without Sam Simmons.
Right.
Yeah. And he was so much of their attack for so long, and now it's like
he was this past, even though it was I don't know, like you said, we'll get to it, but it was Shunza scoring, but it was still Sam Simmons like doing the shit, setting a lot of shit up that opened up that space. So that's can't be ignored.
No, I agree. Another note that I want to go over real quick, and I'll pose this question, and if we come to the same conclusion, then maybe we can move on quickly. If you are responsible for one or two legitimately growing one or two players that end up on a club, are you now a feeder club? Like, can we consider the Free Jacks a feeder club to Gloucester right now? Really?
No, because like they don't really play when it matters, right?
Right.
It's like, okay, great, you're in the system. Like Jack Reeves is tearing it up for him in the Prem Cup. Now, I'm not discounting the Prem Cup because it's a fantastic competition, but it's not like he's doing it in the Prem. He's doing it in the Prem Cup. So that's not your ace. That's not your top side. That's your guys we like in the future that they might come along. And then who was it?
Conradi had a small spell.
Yeah, he had a small spell, and if Pelledri wasn't hurt, like who knows what, and Ben Morgan, if he wasn't hurt, like who knows what Conradi would have had if he would have even had the cup of coffees that he had last year. And it's like, no, that's a team that like you draw some players from and work with because they're talented. That's about it.
I appreciate the connection that the Free Jacks may have with Gloucester, because it might be nice to foster. But providing one or two players on a team,
not a feeder club,
doesn't make it a feeder club. So there's another podcast out there that might want to note that. Just saying. Just saying.
Especially when they've only that feeder club that we're talking about only provided one player.
Outright developed, absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
Because they might have some other players on the team who made the Free Jacks and then moved to that feeder club, but that doesn't make them a feeder club. That just means like this is where the Free Jacks put their guys. That doesn't mean anything. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, well, the depth that said feeder club sucks because we kicked their ass this weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I enjoyed wholeheartedly.
That's always good to be. That's the other thing is
that's the one I like the most, honestly.
Right, and that's the other thing is everybody hates them and has hated them even before they became
right.
Good.
No,
this was not a team that was well liked. So it's like one of these like
their culture sucks.
Yeah, and it's like
you talk about culture and all that stuff. Like
it's not, and especially for the for the podcast that is kind of pumping it. It's like, guys, like if you're obviously not a part of the New England rugby scene if you don't understand that. Like you're fans of the Free Jacks, that's great, but anyone who's been involved in the New England rugby scene knows that everybody hates that club. So
yeah, that's not a well-liked club by any means whatsoever.
Like Boston and the Wolfhounds, we for 80 minutes we fucking hate each other. Yes, but outside of that, it's mostly like, you're okay, you guys are all right. We can
fine.
Hang out.
Yeah, I enjoyed thoroughly having a piss up afterwards with them. They're great.
Right. Worcester is always great to hang out with. They're always a fun club.
God, they're weird. That's okay. It's okay to be weird. I'm all right with weird. I could do weird.
So it's not like that they're good or that they're bad or whatever. It's just that they're fucking assholes.
Yeah, no, they've not had a good culture even way before they got good.
No, these are guys, they put out Free Jacks in their second side in a sevens tournament, in a social sevens tournament. It's like you're putting guys who again, kind of like how these are Gloucester players, like Reeves is a Gloucester player, third tier guys on the Free Jacks, but still they parked them at this club and they played them and on the B side in a social tournament in sevens over the summer. And it's like,
what a joke.
You're going to get guys hurt. Like this isn't what that's not who they're playing as. This is like, especially sevens in the summer, it's like college kids.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
It's like these guys aren't no, they're not ready for that. That's
Nope.
bullshit.
No.
That's kind of the shit that they pull. So
Try again, kids. Try again. Let's look at the end of the TRC, the Rugby Championship, because while it was semi a photo finish, but obviously we could not have the same match times and such because time differences and all that shit. It was going to come down to the last day, just the same, and that's where you're at. The Springboks came up just short, and as much as New Zealand won. All right, we'll talk about them in a second. I do want to give mad kudos to Michael Checa and the Argentinian coaching staff and the players, because they showed that they can be problematic for this competition, which is only good for this competition. Now, I remember once upon a time they were talking about bringing in Japan. I hope that is the case, and we can continue to see a similar pattern for Japan to grow and get better and to continue to be one of these teams that we want to watch. Because I'll tell you, in the wins that Argentina had this year, granted they only had 2, and even in some of the losses, I liked a lot of what they did. I really did. And we saw Montoya just take that captain's armband and wear it well, and that does good things for them. So 2023 will be very interesting with these guys, and they're only going to get better. I know we got a fall scheduled to come up here with the November internationals. That'll be very interesting. Carreras as a 10 is only developing. Like he only started playing that. What was it, last year? I think.
Yeah,
he started playing 10 for them. So very interesting. Usually plays fullback for Gloucester. Maybe he gets to run at 10 for Gloucester when Hastings away.
Maybe. Yeah.
So I very, very good for them. Really excited about that. I have to say, for South Africa, this is not the most hated team I've ever seen. I liked a lot of what they've done in this competition. There are times where maybe it'll change in the autumn. We'll see what they do. But their play was not of something that I was just annoyed with. Were there moments where I was just like, what are you assholes doing? Of course there was. Right. Because it's South Africa. Right. What are you going to do? But
Mapimpi after the try was a little much.
Yeah, that's probably the one moment I can think of. And if that's it, okay, fine. Right. We live with it. Right. And other than that, this team, I really liked watching it. And I'm not sad to say that. And that's only good for rugby as well. So, and I saw some helmets say, "Oh, their play was so boring." I'm like, I actually kind of liked it. I wasn't one of those guys that was just going to go in blindly and say that.
That's exactly it. I can't say I found them boring. I didn't find them. I mean, they're still not terribly structured in attack. They weren't terribly daring in attack. They spun it wide when they wanted to, which was cool. But there wasn't like it was just like, oh, hey, it's open wide. Let's just run wide. It wasn't, they didn't really still challenge to go it. It was just when it was available, they used it, which was cool. So yeah, that makes it entertaining rather than just, crash ball to just, throw a body, one of your fucking huge ass locks at somebody. And they were incredibly physical in defense. That was fun to see.
Yes, they are. They're a tough defense to play against, no doubt.
And then, but we also saw that teams are starting to. It seemed like to me anyway, the teams that play well against them, kind of said, okay, yes, you're going to hit us. We're not going to poop ourselves over it, and we're not going to try to play. They didn't try to play their game. They're like, no, we're going to play our game, and they found holes in the defense, which made the game that much more exciting because now South Africa had to score. It wasn't going to be like a 10-6 match where it was like, oh, this fluke ball bounced one way off of a high ball and then South Africa scored. Like that seems to be a lot of what they do in the close defensive games. They actually had to play some attacking rugby too, so that made it more fun.
Yeah, totally agree. On the note and idea of New Zealand, and yes, they've won the competition
creakily.
Yeah, creakily. very creakily, and I think everybody can admit that. Is this something to build on, or is this like just hanging on by a thread?
That's hanging on by a thread.
It's the same spot, but it's a matter of which way they're going.
it's not a, this isn't a win where you're like, of course they won. This is a win where it's like, how did nobody end up ahead of them?
Yes.
And they're not, they're the, like, there's a thing in the NFL of the, the mystique of the Oakland Raiders that used to be a thing. And even when they were bad, you still had to be like, fuck, we're going to Oakland. This is going to be terrible. Or, wherever they were playing at the time.
LA. Yep. LA.
Yeah. Either way, there was where you had to deal with the black hole. You had to deal with and like, it was intimidating to play them. And now they're kind of just like another team. And that happens over time. And even after they didn't, they still had the mystique even after they were no longer as good. And I feel like that's kind of where New Zealand are. There's still the mystique around them, but it's wearing off. Like, unless they put forth a dominant performance in the World Cup, they're not going to have that extra mental edge of it's the All Blacks.
Yeah, everybody's going to be very aware that this team is very beatable at this point.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they do this fall, obviously. And that may show a lot more. But obviously we'll find out. Yeah. And I wonder if this was maybe the best backline they could put together with one or two exceptions, because you had Bowden Barrett on the same field with Richie Mwanga, which I was something that I was kind of calling for a little bit. I understand you take something a little bit away, but still it's Bowden Barrett. It's not like you're losing anything.
Right.
You really aren't losing anything. Will Jordan needs to be in this team no matter what. Doesn't matter where he plays.
Yes, of course.
I liked the look of Caleb Clark for the most part, with the exception of he's had a couple of hammerhead moments. So he needs to improve if he's going to hold his shirt.
Yeah, and I think that's experience. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, and I'm glad they had they just wanted to try Jordy at 12. I don't know if he put a lot wrong. Could he do better? Probably, but that's a new shirt at a different level. Like, yes, he played there for the Hurricanes for a little bit, but that's still,
it's so different.
It's a different level from club to all the way up to international.
Yeah, it's so much faster, really and it's still a different role too with the All Blacks. Right. I mean, even though it's kind of the same, but
so I think if Foster was going to be a little smart, I think. Tuivasa-Sheck and Barrett might be your 1 and 2 for your 12 shirt right now, going into the autumn. Try it. You're going to play some very different styles, as you did obviously here in the Rugby Championship, but you only got one game in that with this pair. So try it with these guys, see what happens, and I think you might find yourself a really good 12 out of here that's not David Havili.
I think it would have been better for everyone if Tuivasa-Sheck changed over 2 years ago, because he's just not ready yet at either level. A lot. He's not all that great at the club level yet, and I don't think he's anywhere near ready for internationals. So that's my only concern there is like his impact, for what everything he's billed to be. He's I'm not seeing that. So we got to worry, to me, it's like, work with what you got, not with what you think you might have. Because he has to show it first, I think. And I don't think that's happened.
Maybe not. And if that's the case, then obviously there's a lot of concern going around in that.
Right.
That is their bogey shirt right now. Really, it is. And for what they want to do, that's
that in the 7.
well, not right now. Not with Papa Lee there.
Well, that's true. That's true. I did like that back row quite a bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a great back row. I'm into that.
I got all kinds of time for that back row.
Yeah, I had all kinds of time. I do wish that they would get Vai more minutes.
Yeah,
I feel like he's going to be more vital than they're anticipating this summer or this next fall. Excuse me, in France, because how old Retallick?
Okay, so so here's the thing. Retallick is kind of broken.
He's 31.
Although he's incredibly effective when he's in. He's just a monster whenever he plays. So if I am fielding the team, if I'm picking 3 locks really in that, I'm going with Retallick and Barrett and Vai as my game day 3. Yeah, and I might rotate them around because you can. But that to me, those to me are the three most effective locks right now. All respect to Whitelock, but again, we're on the other side of the Tui Vasishek thing. The Whitelock to me is lately has been like your reputation is carrying you at the moment.
It is,
and yeah, I say that with all respect, obviously.
He's
but
used his smarts to keep up.
Yeah, but he's not doing the things he used to do. He's not like he used to do shit that like Mauro Toji would be like, damn, how'd you pilfer that one? Like,
right.
And I'm not seeing him do that anymore. I'm not seeing him really do the little things that you used to see him do that made him different. And now with Vai, the way he plays, especially in the loose, it's like a different kind of impact than Whitelock used to have. But to me, Vai is more impactful at the moment.
Right. And I hope he gets more minutes because it's only going to do this team good, especially in the long term.
I have a question for you.
Shoot.
Is it true, insulting, or both that Australia actually might be still the most improved team from this competition?
Both, probably. I think Australians will feel a little bit insulted by that, but at the same time, there's still so much room for this team to grow. I hope they aren't riding Bernard Foley into the fall. Good Lord,
no. Please don't.
Yeah, no. That's not your option. It is. They may be. They're probably neck and neck with Argentina on that one in terms of most improved. And while you might feel insulted, but it's still saying a lot that you've gotten better. You still haven't like necessarily moved the needle per se, but you've visually gotten better. I can see the good things that are coming for this team.
I see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
Before it was like
I think they need to sign Dave Rennie to an extension right now.
Yeah,
as well, because I think he's actually done a really good job.
I think so too.
So I think they need to go, and especially if Fozzie gets fired after this year from New Zealand. I know they like to promote within, but they might have to get away from that because at this point, within is only coaches that have been there for a year-ish or so.
Scott Robinson or something.
Yeah, and it'll be up in the air, and it might be Rennie or Robertson. And that'll. So if Australia's smart, don't even let him have a thought of it. Go sign him to an extension right now.
Yeah,
that's my.
It's like he is doing good things, and there is a very bright future.
Agreed.
They do have to sort out the 10 though, because we've talked about Lolesio and how he's slender and can he hold up in a comp, and this is the first time he's played significant minutes and he didn't finish the comp.
No, he didn't.
So he still has to bulk up a little bit. He's not fit to take the Johnny Sexton.
Tell him to eat and get the fuck in the gym.
Yeah, right.
That's the end.
Right. Because especially at the international level, he's not running away from anybody. He's not like winning any races. So slow down a little bit, bulk up, and live.
Yeah, be able to take the punches, man.
Because his distribution is really what helps that team. I mean, they have the runners at all positions, so it's like, okay, now and they have a good distributor there, but his job isn't to run. So let someone else do it. He's got to bulk up and take the hit because they're coming, whether or not he's ready for them.
Yes, they are. Quade's still an injury concern, left, right, and center. Which when he's playing, he's magic, but
right.
He's
not getting younger.
So no, he's not. He's not getting any younger by any means.
You still need to worry a little bit about the future, because if it comes down to it's pretty soon. It's really only Lolesio,
right?
And that's it.
And there's one name I want to put out there that might come good in the next year, and he might be a bolter. And I don't know if this is total shot in the dark. Rhys-John Pasatoa from the Western Force could be someone that turns into a bolter if he takes another step in his development. I thought he took a pretty good step this past year, but still not there clearly. If he takes another step in his development, maybe he turns into a potential international fly half, and they give him a run in the what will be another truncated rugby championship, and we'll see.
Maybe we'll
see.
That would be
that is a conspiracy theory, like beta right there. That's all that is. That's just a thought. So just wanted to throw that name out there just for everybody to.
And we'd be
remember.
remiss if we didn't mention, although I did say his name earlier, but Corabetti being just taking a huge step forward.
Totally. Yeah, we were not fans of this player on this podcast, and
yeah, because he was, the physicality wasn't there. I haven't seen a player change their attitude towards a game like that since I just had his name and lost it because I was talking too much. South African, the wing. Why am I have
the one that
brain lock now?
The crazy stepper?
No. The Habana.
Oh,
Brian Habana, who used to be a total kind of diva wing. And then like when he hit his mid-20s and wasn't like, he could still fucking outrun you, but really needed to change his game. He became just a fucking monster. Like you don't want to run towards him because he's going to lay you out.
Absolutely.
To me, he was, when I was first getting into rugby, I would watch him and be like, man, because he reminded me of one of my teammates who was like, like he was a wing too, and it's like you give him the ball and he's, oh yeah, I'll score, no big deal. But it's like, Larry, we need to make that tackle. No, like, damn it, Larry. So yeah, like he always reminded me of one of my teammates, and it was like, but then it changed, and it was like, no, okay, no, fuck that. Well done. Yeah, so yeah, to win. Me, Corabetti is, yeah, and I realized that I'm putting him in the same sentence as Havana, but that was a Habana like turnaround. So let's see more of that.
Please. More of that. Well, he might be in that category if he keeps improving.
Exactly.
So
because he's scoring tries too. So like you didn't give that up.
Yeah, he's off that duck, which is going to be helpful. Let's go to the Premiership and talk a little bit about what's going on with that. We'll start with Friday night and some wildness at Bath and Wasp. We saw a phenomenal return and some weird ass hair from Jacob Umaga.
Yeah.
Hair makes him stand out, that's for sure.
Right. Like you're what are you in a competition with Tom Dunn right now? Like please
hairdo. Although Dunn supposedly has cut it. So
right. So that's good. I hope we're done with that. No pun intended. Fuck. Yeah, and Wasps, stop me if you've heard this one, get out to a huge lead. What, 31-7 at half.
Right.
So obviously game over, right?
That's what you thought. Good thing they managed to get another 8. There would have been a draw otherwise.
This is like, yeah, like really the problem Bath had is they just gave up too much in the first half.
Really, yeah.
Like if they had just like, gotten their heads on fucking straight, they could have won this. And they just let up too many easy tries to start. And Wasps clearly can't handle it. They can't hold their shit because it's the third time now that they've scored big and then the first 2 they lost. And so I think are they 1-2 now?
Just the first one. Okay, they lost big. The second one, they lost them both, but the first one they scored big. The second one was kind of a meh. Kind of.
That was Bristol. Yeah, they were always right. They were always kind of behind there.
They were always in trouble with that one. But the first one, obviously against Gloucester. It was obviously some great play from Jacob Umaga that front put them forward. Their whole back row stood up between Carr, Willis, and Willis, and just really, really good stuff. Will Porter is showing why he should have the 9 shirt and not Dan Robson, which is right. for opponents terrifying because it's not like Dan Robson's nobody.
No, and you can bring him off the bench and you can be like, here, we have, Will Porter get, 50 minutes, you get 50 out of Will, and then now you have to deal with arrested Robson.
Right. And we saw the return of form or somewhat of Josh Bassett. You got 2 on this one, right?
You got 2. He's a good dog.
Yeah, damn. 2. Yeah, he actually had 10 tackles by this list here. Damn, that's pretty fucking good.
Yeah. And right. He made that I was joking at the time about how pure skill that was to kick it off fish into himself awkwardly like that. But that was well done to finish. They don't ask how, they ask how many.
Yes, they do. They ask how many.
It wasn't graceful, but it got the job done.
It did. The hosts, we saw them kind of come alive, obviously, in the second half, but there's one player that does talk about being a complete wing, and I think he's nearly there. Will Muir from Bath, just he does the dirty work, and we saw him, snag kickoffs off people's hands and stuff like that, which is really great stuff from a wing in general. If that's all you got out of a wing, you'd be really appreciative of it.
Right.
But he's more than that, and he's showing that. And this is the Will Muir of 2 years ago. Last year was kind of meh.
It was
kind of meh. This is the Will Muir of 2 years ago. And if Coca comes back to form and Muir plays well, and I know Pierce Francis was kind of a cute idea, but play Orlando Bailey. He's got the skills to make this team click. There's a lot of good things to like about what's going on with Bath, and Van Grant can be very happy about it. I know they haven't won, but there's still better things going on visually that we see at Bath right now than there was, this time last year.
Right. They're putting up fights. Like they're not. Last year, I felt like they just seemed gassed a lot, and just not like. And by that I mean like just they had nothing in the tank. As far as it's not a fitness thing. It's more of a like heart thing. They're showing heart. They're showing that they want to. They want to be in it, and they're doing good stuff. It's just not. The opponents are too good. That's all, and not saying that with these opponents being Wasps, but they're just not playing at a Prem level just yet. But they're so much closer than they were last year.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Bristol was one thing, but Bristol didn't play all that great that match. Either way, it's exciting. That's all I care about. They're playing high score, like they're playing high scoring rugby and participating in the scoring, which is good.
Yes. You want to do that when you get into a high scoring match usually.
Right. And I think that's the difference. Last year they weren't participating in the scoring.
Right. Let's go over to Ashton Gate, Bristol and London Irish. So before we get to the actual match, I want to say, we've been talking about finances and all that stuff and ways to increase your profile and, get more engagement out of the club. Ashton Gate was packed pretty heavily, like the most packed I've seen that place for a while. And it was because I think they had some sort of like family package deal that they were doing. And it was probably a slightly discounted ticket, but the upside of doing something like that every once in a while is you bring people in that are going to buy merch. They're going to buy concessions. They might come back as well, especially if they've not been to Bristol very often, or if they're newbies. So, and especially you get one of the kids hooked and the whole family's in. If you got multiple kids and one kid's in, he's just like, it's like, well, this kid's driving this bus, I guess.
Right.
So we're going to bring the whole family to this thing next time.
Right. Like if he had fun or she had fun, then they're going to want to come back. And
this was a fun match. So
right. And this right. This is a great match.
Yes. So kudos to the team at Bristol that came up with that and got that's what players want right there. That type of atmosphere, that type of crowd, that is what players want to play in front of.
Right.
Stuff like that,
Same for the Rec. The Rec was rocking.
Yes.
Probably literally.
Yeah. So the Saints might be a little questionable over there. But yes. So it's that's the type of stuff that players want to play in front of too. It gives them extra juice. And then with that, we get some better rugby. And I'm not saying it's always going to be that way, but clearly that is part of the equation. So good. But to the actual rugby.
And it does help that Genge is from the like Genge's back and he's from the area, and that's like it's always good to have a real hometown guy on the team, like connecting to fans. It's like they I was just he was just like me when I so it's like there's that connection, and that does drive the fan engagement too.
Yes,
so that was a huge get for them.
Totally. And the actual rugby was pretty good too.
Yeah.
We had lots of points to be put up. I want to see a foot race between Henry Arundel and Will Jordan, and I want to start them on the 50 and see who gets to the try line first. Like,
can we add Reece Sammet to that too? Just
of course we want to do that.
Shits and giggles, because damn,
of course
those three I think are on that level.
Yeah, they're all just about the same level. It's just lightning in a bottle, and Unfortunately, AJ did give the pass that gave Arundel the leeway to go, but when you're given the license of freedom that you are with Pat Lam, sometimes that is kind of the other edge of the sword that you fall on.
Yep.
So, but for the most part, AJ had a really good game, so it's not to take away. That is his one error. I think everybody can admit that.
Right. I mean, he even played 80, right? AJ.
Yes, he did. He finished the whole thing.
Like, right, and yeah, because Oshidi came on for
Bedlow, I think,
for Bedlow, yeah. So that I think that tells you something, that it's like, okay, like obviously he didn't completely cock it, McGinty, but so, or at least he's playing, because it's not completely his fault that
no, and he attacks the line too, which is something for me that I like in a fly half. And he does pick his spots. He doesn't just do it blindly and hope that something's going to work. He does pick his spots, and he's a quality player. I just wish he was playing for a better country. Sorry. Otherwise, though, it was the Ellis Gen show again. Shocker of the day, like loose again, and made a couple people look silly, and scoring tries again, and damn.
And we have to mention the Lahif try, because that was
yes,
delicious.
That ended up being the decider as well.
Right.
We saw, and one thing that we saw, and this is maybe a credit to Kyle Sinclair that we just didn't give him, or I didn't hear a lot of people giving him, like Will Goodrick Clark was struggling in that scrum. And to the point where they decided to bring in Fischetti early. And that's not Sinclair's game. So if he's gotten better at that, that's pretty terrifying.
It's potentially frightening.
Yeah, that's pretty scary right there. I gotta say, and we both aren't huge fans of this guy, but the Morahan try was just, it touched like 6 people's hands. I was like, that is a glorious try it was mostly designed that way too, which is just a piece of art.
I mean, that's very, very, very Pat Lam. So I loved every minute of that. And it's, I'm kind of like, if Morahan is going to finish, what can you say? These are the kind of tries that, a lot of things would go right, and then like Morahan would fuck it up, or like not throw the pass when he should. But this time it's like, no, just okay, score the try. Cool. Excellent. Good job.
Yeah. And the Irish, we talked about Arundel. There was still some good things. The first try of the match was great from Ben White.
It was.
And that is also just the type of stuff you want. And that is the stuff that makes a good scrum half good. That you need to run that line, and not as many scrum halves run it as should, honestly. I think we saw Simpson benefit from it last week, and just somebody show that to every youngster that wants to be a halfback, because that is the line to run every time. And overall, this was not a terrible performance from London Irish. They ran into a really good team, and they had one moment of knuckleheadedness with the yellow card on White for a high tackle, but really that was I think that was it. No, was that it? Oh, they only had the one yellow card, right?
That was it.
Okay, so really improved, and they were talking about it was Fitzharding and on the, it was Harris Bass that was with him on comms. It was, so they were talking about improving the discipline, because obviously the week before they wore themselves out with having 12 on the field against Northampton. That just, even if you don't give up points, that gasses you. It's awful. But it's better for London Irish for their sake. Less cards, pretty decent defense. Rogerson and Pearson were everywhere.
Yep,
they had like almost 20 tackles a piece, I think. Pretty ridiculous. So better from London Irish, but obviously I think we're looking at a really tough team here in Bristol to expect much more than what they did. Honestly, they got losing bonus point and bonus point try at their place.
Right.
What are you gonna do?
Right. That's more than you would want. If this was 2 years ago, you'd be like, holy shit, we did that. That's awesome. Like,
yeah, and this might be that level team again. So.
Right. Exactly. The Bears look just as good. So that's the quality loss, I guess, from Irish.
Yeah, the old college football term.
Yeah.
um, let's go to the Gardens, and things were looking rosy for the Saints until about 68 minutes,
60 some minutes. Yeah.
Yep.
Right where I am in the game right now as I'm watching.
Oh, you're watching it.
I just saw the Martin try. It's like, okay, well, George Martin, like, first off, as we started this, I said to Jared that, like, I don't know what's going on. I just saw Jimmy Gopperth almost score a try. And
Sans wheels. That's the only reason
right.
he didn't.
And it's like, holy shit, like, that's gonna be that kind of party. And if Martin's scoring, it's that kind of party. And it's off of a fluke, the little accidental boot forward. Like, it wasn't even an intentional kick. It was a bad pass.
He was Johnny on the spot, though.
Yeah. So, it was an intentional. Okay. Mitchell knocked it. Either way,
he gets into the bin too. So
oh, nice.
Yeah. So
this is all falling apart.
It really fell apart for them at the end. So ill discipline does it again. Really, that's what it is, and it's was Truck rightly or wrongly carded. It doesn't matter, honestly. Dixon saw fit to card him there, and he had been warning them because there were quite a few penalties on the trot there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And that whether they were near the goal line or not, some referees wouldn't do that because they weren't near the goal line, and some do. And Dixon decided, you're pissing me off. Have a seat.
Yeah,
and that's how it is.
Right. About don't get in the referee's bad side that badly as a team.
No, especially with the amount of penalties that were coughing up. That's just never going to end well. You're playing with fire either way. So, and Leicester took advantage. We saw the same the team on the other side not do a damn thing with their advantage in the moment. At least, obviously, it wore out the Exiles, as we were talking about before. But for the Tigers to just realize where the space is and take it and just put them to the sword as quickly as possible, they did it. And this is they are the champions of England. Let's not forget that.
Right.
So that is a thing still.
Yeah, and the Saints are still not at that level yet.
No, not quite there. I do want to point out on the Northampton team, one guy that's played really well in the first 3 games and was not somebody that's really made the mark. He's not made the mark he has this year before, and that's Alex Coles, the big lock from Northampton, playing really well. Like, and no Dave Ribbons right now, and
he's filling that role.
Really grabbing it with both hands right now.
Yeah, imagine him and Ribbons back like that. Yes,
and then you have Lukan Salakailoto. You still have Laws. You're like, yeah, it'll be a nice pack for them it will. For them to pick from over there at Northampton, Phil Dowson and company. For Leicester, and I do want to point out that Leicester did some very smart business today and got a lot of the youngsters re-signed for longer term deals that have come good out of their academy.
JVP and Stewart,
big ones for them that are doing work in different ways, and we're seeing just a glimpse of what Van Portvliet could be, which is going to be terrifying for teams for years to come.
Yeah,
Martin is clearly just a dog that works his ass off, and that's fine. That's really starting to show, not just by the eyes, but also in the stats. So credit to him. And then Stewart is, he's developing into a world-class fullback. There's nothing bad to say about him right now.
No,
it really is.
He's not. Yeah, he's obviously not on the level of the guys we were talking about earlier, but like that could be coming because
that is not far.
Right, he's got the athleticism. He can put it together. We also missed talking about Andy Uren extending with the Bears.
Oh yeah, that's right.
2026.
That was actually kind of a fun graphic too. I had never seen that before.
That was cool.
I like that. But the
Tigers.
Like,
let me see who this is, and I was like, oh, that that was kind of the whole effect was pretty cool.
But the Tigers are back in it, and they're only going to get better because they got Montoya and Visa coming back. Whether or not they get a week off is going to be interesting because of the.
I'm guessing they do, but
find out. And Freddie Burns played a lot better than he had in the first game, so credit to him. And I know he missed the last couple because of concussion, but credit to him for not completely cocking it up this time.
Yeah.
So good on them. And then let's go to the place that you and I are going to visit very, very soon.
Very soon.
over to the Stone X.
Days. Can't wait.
So I turned this game onto my phone so I could have the audio go to my car's Bluetooth, and I just put the phone in the center console so I could just listen to it. And I am that wacko that is just screaming at the top of their lungs in their car. My windows were closed, thank God. And I'm hooting, I'm hollering, I'm clapping, I'm banging on my steering wheel. And there's definitely people in traffic that think I'm fucking crazy. Holy shit.
Yeah, that was the second half.
Yeah, understatement of the day. Overall, even like holy shit. Holy rugby, Batman.
Yeah.
This was wild.
Right. I mean, Malin started off right from the jump saying, yeah, let's have some fun.
Yep, definitely.
Right. And then, of course, the obvious Valor Pava Ruskin, who everybody had pegged as being like basically the best player in this match.
Just slides over the top of that. Yeah. And I showed my kids that tackle. I'm like, this is what you don't do, guys. Don't just dive and lose your feet, because then guys do this.
Right.
And just dive over the top of you and fall on the try line.
That's why we say low to high. So that because they went high to low and he just slid right over, and he went low to high and slid right over the top.
Slid right over the top. I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Just real easy falling over that one. And we saw, and obviously the most hilarious moment of the whole thing was Jinx putting his arms out when Earl got the try.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm pretty sure Daly was his best man at swatting. So he's like, what the
fuck, man? Oh, that's great. Yeah, that was, I thought he was celebrating scoring because I thought he was happy he ran a good dummy line and took out a defender. And then they showed it from the other side. And it was, no, he was free.
He was annoyed.
He was pissed.
He was annoyed. It's so funny. It's so funny. I mean, the guys want the tries, you can't blame him. But
of course.
He still celebrated, so it's fine. But
yeah. Of course.
He's like, hey, what's up, man? Like, come on.
Like, what the fuck did I do to you?
But then we have we talk about, it's very often talked about those last 5 minutes before a half, and what happens in those last 5 minutes can, even if you just have a solid goal line stand or just keep a team out, it's huge. And the Saracens didn't, and that gave Gloucester a shit ton of momentum to go into the second half with, and they rode the hell out of that like a freaking tsunami wave, big time.
Right. Tuisui was a monster though, even before that. Like
he was a pain in the ass.
He was a pain in the ass, and that was interesting to me because, like, again, I've heard good things about Tuisui, that I never saw his whole time with London Irish. Okay, that I see it here. I mean, of course, Gloucester can bring that out of a player, and now I'm seeing what I think people expected to see, but I certainly never did at Irish. So, got to give him credit. He's another guy I've been critical of because of that. Now, okay, no, there, all right, Albert, I see you. You're noticed.
You are seen, sir.
It's it was one of those gotta see it. Well, we've seen it, so cool. Let's see more of it.
Yeah,
because I enjoyed that. And
you had to wonder how much trouble that they might have been in for Gloucester with 3 midfielders and a fly half on the field in their back line, with Harris having to go out to wing,
right?
Because Thorley got pulled out, and 12th coming into the midfield, and Lloyd Evans still at fullback because they don't have their full complement of their players. And I think it speaks high volumes about how little George Skivington trusts Kyle Moyle, who is a true back 3 player.
Yeah,
and didn't bring him on at all.
Right.
And, they were talking. There were talks about how good he could be when he first came to guy's first game for Gloucester, and
I thought he's played well. But I mean, obviously we don't see him all the time. I've only seen the times he's been given a chance to play, and I guess it was 2 years ago. I thought he was dynamite. Last year he kind of disappeared. And maybe
he turned into a ghost, and
people maybe that's continuing.
The league adjusts to you. Your turn is to adjust back. If you can do that, then you're probably going to be a pretty good player. If you can't, then it's going to take you a while to either figure out how to be a good player in this league, or you're just going to probably end up going by the wayside.
Right. Or find a team that's coached by Steve Diamond, and he'll throw you on there like the wings he preferred when he was at Sale.
True. Yeah, some of them weren't fantastic.
Right.
But to the final bits of the match, and Gloucester played so well in all the way up to the 70th minute when Hastings hit the penalty.
Yeah.
But obviously the series had already started. The comeback trail. Josh Hallett had scored. Good for Josh Hallett.
Yep.
Love it. Another midfielder that we could probably use because we're going to be losing a couple of them at some point here.
Already lost one in this match. So
yep.
Because Duncan's not a guy that you want to rely on, unfortunately, anymore. He's just not that guy. And
no.
So they need somebody to step up as a guy. They don't, the guys that they were there like stalwarts when it was internationals time are kind of, one of them's retired for a few years now, and now this one's getting a little bit older and more broken. So
yep, time to call it a day.
Yeah.
We saw more Ruben de Haas, which I loved.
Didn't
put a foot wrong, so hopefully that means good things going forward. And then we saw the front row take over and the pack take over, and obviously Tom Wollstonecroft is not. I'll say he's not talked about enough as this backup to Jamie George. Like he's extremely good. He comes on, especially if he comes off the bench. He's like another back rower, so because he'll take the ball, carries well, tackles well.
Yep,
and has good lineout throws.
He plays like another flanker, third or fourth. Basically, like he's like a 6 or a 7, basically from hook. I to me, like I rate him higher than a lot of other starters in the league, right? And some who are in the England discussion, including some who people think should be the starter for England.
Yeah, fuck off.
And it's like LCD. There's so much to his game that I'm not. There's so much to Wollstonecroft's game that LCD just doesn't have. So I like his game a lot.
Yeah. So credit to Tom Wollstonecroft and the entirety of the replacement bench. They used them all, and they all made an impact in a lot of in their own ways. And that's a great 23 win.
Yeah, and especially to get that last conversion, Farrell from the touch, like just
any discussion about this guy not being world class is erroneous, and I want to hear none of it. Like what the the game is on the line, and he from the sideline he freaking does it. He hit it, and he knew he hit it. He's like, I got it, I'm good. I was like, God damn, you don't do that if you're not high, like world class. You don't.
Right.
So any discussion of that goes on from here out is just completely stupid. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
No way. Absolutely no way. And just love it. And he knew what he needed to do. He's like, you know what? My boys have just done a whole fuck ton of work for me. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna nail this so we can go home winners.
Yep.
And he hit it, and he knew he got it. I was like, how many people can do that and say, no problem, guys, we got it? And he didn't do it in an arrogant way. He did it because he's like, hell yeah, I hit that perfectly. And that's one of those ones where you've hit it so well. You're like, yep, that's the one. And then you see the other ones where you kind of lean and try and put the English on it and do the Carlton Fist thing.
Yeah.
That was not this one.
No. This was count it. Let's go have a beer, boys.
Absolutely. So, Demon's not fully exercised from last year with Gloucester, but much, much better, just the same.
Certainly. And it's good for Sarries to get. I mean, it's important that they did win this match and especially with the wind. Like that was that was probably a 10-point wind, which was what made me nervous, because it was like, okay, I didn't think they got enough points in the first half.
Right.
But then they matched them exactly point for what? Almost exactly point for point, 21-22. So it's like, okay, good job. Like you held off the wind aided your opponent. I think that says a lot to me.
Yeah,
because that was a big win. That was super helpful and super hard to kick into and all that. And that's the other thing. Farrell was kicking into that win. It's not just that there was a ballsy kick. That was like from the touchline into like a 10-point wind. No, thank you. but thank you.
Thank you. And then the sad but happy but sad story. Let's go to Sixways and Worcester's very inspired performance against Newcastle, and the crowd, the team, the everybody that just made this thing happen for them.
Right.
Good on you. I was watching this and I was nearly speechless. I was like, oh my God, this is a great day for Worcester, and unfortunately comes in the shadow of such a bad thing.
Yeah. And I will say that they're incredibly fortunate that this match was against the Falcons.
Yeah. But they they rocked up. They knew who they were playing, and they said, you know what, we're good. I don't think they really would have cared. They would have rocked up and put it out there anyway.
Well, of course. But I mean,
whether or not the result would have happened is...
Exactly. That's right. They got rewarded for it. That's
yes.
So that was good. And good for Kovacic. Seriously, like, this is like gets his reward too. Like, comes back to the club, like trying to build what he, kind of where he started and build himself. And so I was happy to see him get over.
Yep. Yeah, he played well when he came on. And was that him that was sitting in the middle of the pitch in that picture? Did you see that picture?
I haven't seen no.
There was a picture. It was a player. It was a Worcester player. I think it was him, but I could be wrong.
Oh.
Just everybody had left and he was still sitting in the middle of the pitch. So that was him. Maybe it was one of the Kitchener brothers or something like that. But yeah, somebody that had been there for a while, I think.
Well, if it was Kitchener brother, he would have had a dunce cap on, right?
Graham, yes. Andrew, no.
Yeah, that's
so it was a very inspired performance, and Newcastle just really laid down. There was not a whole lot that they could do, and they didn't have anything in the locker to do for themselves, and it was really just it was less than awesome from Newcastle. It really was, and certainly proved my thoughts about their 10 situation, that's for sure.
Yeah,
both of them. Neither was good.
No, and they don't have centers, and that's problematic. They don't really have a fullback.
They'll get the Matthias's back soon.
Yeah,
they're done.
Right, they need that. They desperately need that.
Yeah, and they need a better fullback. You're right. I agree with that.
And they still need a back row. I mean, Blameyer is
their most effective back rower, and he's a hooker,
right? And he came on, with 22 minutes ago. Like, come on, like, what the fuck?
Yeah, well, Walder's got a lot to improve on.
Like, Worcester are folding, basically. Well, not folding, but they're going into administration as a club, but they still have like some decent players at each position. It's just their problem has never been so much their talent as in just their continuity.
Yeah,
Newcastle. Yeah, that's all I'll say.
Yeah, problems.
Enough said.
Problem. Let's go over to Sandy Buttcrack. Sandy Park. Anyway. And I'm sorry, Nick Mullins. They're racist. Call them what they are.
Yeah,
they're not old heads. They're racist.
Right.
Like they're not diehards. None of that.
The worst part is that they're playing that song. What is it? Shake Your Tail Feather or whatever it is that uses the chant. So it's like, well, we're just playing the song, this old pop song, and it's like, come on now, we all know what you're doing. Like, there's no need for that at all anymore. We're done. We're past it. That was the whole point.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah, that's right. Karma gets you in the end.
Yeah.
Not quite here though, but really, if the Quims can look at themselves hard, don't spot any team 25 points.
Exactly. Yep.
Don't spot any team 25 points, because if you look at what you did otherwise, my dog's now up. If you look at what you did otherwise, it was absolutely fucking fantastic. Like, anybody that says otherwise is a freaking idiot. That just Murley, Northmore, Green, Marcus, like, even Archie White, like, wow.
Yeah.
Just and Danny Kerr should have started this match right from the outset. And I know they want to try and give Geltema a little bit more time, but
no, he was like it turned everything turned around when he went off.
Oh, totally. Yeah,
Kerr
when Kerr came on, that was it.
That was it.
That was it, clearly. So it's really, yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous what he could do when he came on. And yeah, just so much good that you can hang your hat on if you're Quins, but you can't spot teams' points. It doesn't matter who they are in this league. And no, I don't love Exeter still, but I don't spot them 25 points because they still find a way to put you to the sword, even if it's semi-illegal.
Well, that's just poor ref. Like you and I have this problem because it's like when a line is involved, like when the midfield line is involved, refs use it as as a marker. Like if you pass it across the line forward, that's obviously a forward pass. Okay, so I'll use that. Here, you see a player tackled, and you can see where the stripe is to mark off the 15 and the 5 for the line out. And you can see he's not entered like the gap between them. He's like just on top of the H kind of thing.
Right.
And it's caught like halfway into the 8, like into that line. Like it's almost at I think it was the 50. And it's like, use that. Say like, here's where he passed it. He was at this, he was relative to those lines. He was here. It was caught here. That's clearly a forward pass. Right. So,
and it was within the laws to go back and look at that one too. It was only 2 phases back.
It was one phase. It was one tackle after that. So, that was when the try was scored.
And that's why they could look at it. And if they had done 1 or 2 more phases, whatever, then it becomes relevant. So that's how it is. But because we are there, we can go back and look at it.
Exactly. And even so,
we need to be able to make the decision that's there for us to make. And I don't like Tempest anyway. I think he's one of the worst that they have.
Yeah, he was and he's still coughing. They can't tell me like COVID is fucker is still hacking up a lung every time he's reffing.
Yeah, and but credit where credit's due, certainly to Schuenza, who I don't know. We were talking about maybe this is the answer to no Sam Simmons. Maybe. We don't know that for sure. But maybe.
And I mean, he's clearly
keeps doing this, then yes, that is the answer.
Yeah. But especially if it's him and Capstick running together, that opens up a lot. So like you can't just have the one runner. You need 2. And I think to me, Capstick and Shunza could be a hell of a pair. And if you want to play a lock in the loose forwards, this is the guy. Not Dave Ewers, not Dave Ewers, because Dave Ewers can't do shit that he could do there. You put him at lock because that's the kind of thing you need a lock to do. Shunza's your flank.
Yeah,
like he's your 6 right there.
I agree.
Like to me, that's him saying, the 6 jersey, it's mine.
Should be. I agree.
Although even though he's playing at 7 or whatever, was he playing at 7?
Yeah, but
crazy.
We may see still. The back row altered this week, so we'll find out. Yeah, and anybody that tells me the next time I hear the bullshit about Ian Witten or Jack Noel being amazing defenders, I'm just gonna show them the replays of the fucking shit that they got schooled with. They got pantsed a couple times.
They did,
and just looked really ridiculous. Plain simple, Ollie Woodburn scores in this match. Jack Noel does not, and I'm not saying that because of the obvious that he didn't, but like there are things that Ollie Woodburn did that made the things go in this match that did not that Jack Noel doesn't make happen. Simple as that.
He doesn't.
And anybody that says otherwise is stupid.
The most I saw Jack Noel in the match was at ruck time. He's your fucking wing.
Or when Northmore was running by him.
Why was he rucking? Or that too.
Man, that made me laugh. I was like, that's a center and he's scooting you, buddy.
Right. I mean, come on. That's not, he's not even club quality at this point, let alone international. I don't get it.
He's definitely not international.
Right. I mean, come on.
Not international.
What are we fucking doing? You need something more than a rucking wing.
Yeah,
okay, great.
Generally,
he knows where Eddie wants him to be on a, a high ball or something like that. Okay. Okay.
What's he gonna do
But,
with
like,
he gets the ball in his hand?
Yeah. Like, you need someone at that point who's going to run away from people, and he does the opposite.
He goes looking for contact, and he's not. And we saw things like we see things like Joe Kokonasinga and Nemanja Dolo coming off the wing and being used as a battering ram.
Right.
Jack Nold is not the body type of a battering ram, nor does he run with the effectiveness of that either.
Right.
So it doesn't make sense to me.
Is he hardy enough to maintain that? He's too frail and will break easily.
Yeah, and he has, and he's shown propensity to injury. So
yeah,
I know Coca and Nadolo have spent time in the shelves, but at least they got the body mass to help.
Yeah,
honestly. So that is that. All right.
Or you could just go with a wing like Hayden Murley, who you don't need to worry about physicality because no one ever fucking touches him.
No one touches him. Yeah. Talk about lightning in a bottle. Yeah, that works too.
And they still don't even have Lina out yet.
Nope.
I mean,
they didn't even use Nick David in this match, which was shocking for me. So
yeah, there's this Quins team is scary.
Yep.
In the Exeter team, again, good on the Exeter for opening it up a little bit more, and
thankfully
that's great.
Lord.
I mean, it kind of had to, but yeah, I'm not. There's that defense is not what it needs to be.
No, the Quins made it look like Swiss cheese, especially in that second half.
Right.
All right. That is that. And yeah, some of you may be listening to this pod and we're either in the air or we're where you are. Terrifying, right?
Turn around. We're right behind you. Or we may be handing you a beer. Who knows?
Yeah. Also that.
In which case you're not listening to the pod. You're listening just to us.
Yeah, you're probably just listening to the two of us babble. Sorry for you.
And wondering, asking yourself very deep personal questions about,
like, why did I do this to myself? Oh, yes. So yeah, if you haven't figured it out yet, we're on our way to London tomorrow. We'll actually be landing Friday morning, and we're gonna go find a place to watch Falcons and Bears. So if you want to join us, that's what we're gonna do. Hit us up. But
we'll try to put it out on the socials if we can as to where we will be, so you can come.
No, I can tag it when we
flip us off or whatever it is.
Yeah, if you want to give us a kick in the ass, it's all right.
We accept.
We will do. It's okay. Promise.
I don't know what I did, but I'm sure I earned that. Thank you.
Yeah, probably true. Same for me. If you're coming along to the Fancy Pod, we'll see you over there. But if you're just one of those folks that likes to stick around for the pod, for the Rugby Pod, we'll catch you next week, and we'll be recapping many adventures and many stories at that point.
We remember them all.
Yeah, fingers crossed on that one. Until then, we appreciate you all for listening, and we'll catch you then. Have a good one.
Later.